Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our section, Single Not Yet Ready to Mingle. My name is Cyril. As mentioned by Dr. Gan, I will be the moderator of this section. And without any further ado, I would like to introduce you to our speaker today. First, we have Joanne. Joanne, do you mind to switch on your camera and say hi to the participant?
Hi.
Yeah, very good. Hi, thank you, Joanne. And secondly, we have Sam. Hello, Sam, are you here?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hi, okay. Yes,
Okay.
yes, we can hear you. Thank you, Sam. And lastly, we have Rowie with us.
Hello everyone.
Hi, welcome. Okay, without any, just as mentioned at Dr. Gan, they have actually recently graduated from Utah with a degree in psychology. So today they would like to present their final year project, which study about singlehood. And without any delay, we will just start the section. And dear speaker, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Cyril. Hi everyone. So without any further ado, let's begin. So life has many tough decisions, and one of the most important decisions is whether to stay single or to be in a relationship. We believe that our session's name gives you an idea of what we will be talking about today. So before we reveal our topic, we would like to invite you all to participate in an ice-breaking activity. Okay, are you single? This is the question we have all been waiting for. If the answer is yes, then you can give some reactions to it.
Hello, oh yeah, welcome to click on the reaction bar. Can you all see over there? Then you can raise your hand to indicate if you are single. Yeah, we can see Sam is apparently single over here. And we also have Leong. Leong is also single. And any others? Or we also have Aaron. Very good. Any more? I think only 3 or only 4 of them. Okay. And also we have total. Oh yeah, we have 4 of them. I think it's relatively lesser. Yeah, I think most of the people that are interested in singlehood is that they are either committed in a relationship or whether they are married.
Yeah.
So singlehood may sound more interesting to them as it is apparently what they are not into it now.
Yeah. So, but anyways, thank you to those who have reacted as part of the ice-breaking activity. Being single can be categorized into voluntary singlehood, which is single by choice, and involuntary singlehood, which is single not by choice, which means they want to have a partner, but they may face difficulties in attracting or obtaining one.
Yeah, so proceeding to the next slide. Okay, so there are a lot of terms used to describe single persons, such as one popular Chinese word called single dog, 单身狗, and also single Pringle, which are used to describe people who are single in a humorous way. So for this session, we are going to discuss voluntary singlehood, which happened to be the focus of our undergraduate final year project. It was about to understand the determinants of the intention to be single among young adults in Malaysia. Next slide, please. Okay, so we would like to start with 3 questions to introduce our topic. First one, who are the singles?
Okay, so singles refer to people who are not currently involved in a close romantic relationship. So whether they have been partnered or married in the past. So to put it simply, singles are people who are unmarried or not in a romantic relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Roy. So moving on to the second question, why are they not ready to mingle? Means like, in your opinion, what are the possible reasons people stay single? So we have prepared a Mentimeter link for this. So do click in the link and tell us your opinion on this. For your information, the responses in Mentimeter are completely anonymous. So please don't feel shy to share your thoughts about this question. You'll be given 5 minutes to share your thoughts about this, starting from now. I'll paste the link for this Mentimeter in the chat box also. Maybe you can refer to that.
You all are welcome to key in the code, whether you can go to the website here, key in the code and you can answer, and also you can scan the QR code using your phone here, and just like how we did in the previous sections, all your responses will be kept anonymous, so feel free to have your response to us. We welcome your active participation in this activity. Yeah, we already have few responses as we can see here. There are few reasons that why people they are not ready to mingle. We have lack of confidence or self-esteem, cannot find a suitable one. I think it's a good personal choice. Yeah, absolutely. It could be a personal choice. You can choose not to be mingle, and also because of shyness and financial difficulties, easier to handle everything on their own for sure. If you are single, you have more freedom, you have more control over your life. And others, do you have any thoughts about why they are not ready to mingle? Feel free to share your thoughts with us. Yeah, fear of commitment. Yeah, it could be the one. Freedom. I think most of the participants, are more concerned about freedom and commitment, right? Since if you have your if you have your romantic partner, so you have less freedom. That's what they're assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also have it. People want freedom. I think we got 3 or 4 responses is about freedom. People want to have more control, and also about career. Is it because having romantic relationship that actually serve as the obstacles to your career growth? And we will have 2 minutes more to count down about our voting. Yeah, still feel free to key in more responses. Fear of rejections and more. People affected by past failed relationship. Okay, it's interesting. Fear of being hurt by their loved one. So actually they have the loved one, so they are not ready to commit. Could we say it that way? Sam, what's your thought on this actually?
Yeah, I think so. I see like a lot of people have answered freedom. Yes, I think single does offer freedom. Then because when you are single, you can freely do whatever you want, and you can spend your hard-earned money on yourself only. And also you don't have to worry about, like, you can go vacation whenever you want. You don't need to worry about your partner and stuff or something. So I think yes, freedom, I agree on that for me. What about you, Joanne?
For what I saw about the one about career, right? I think coming from this, I kind of understand because they can focus more on their career advancements when you are single. Like for some people, declining a job offer for family reasons is proposed as like quite a possible intervening variable that affects like training or career mobility. Because for the current generation, there is like a huge importance that is placed on taking the time to prioritize like oneself and one's career. So an unmarried professional without children, maybe they can dedicate as many hours as they want physically and mentally to able to help with their career growth. And by this, it means that they focus all of their energy on one component of life. Although it does not certainly guarantee it, but it is most likely to lead to a bigger success.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joanne, because when you are having partner, it actually limited your career choice and career goal in some sense, because you have someone to take care. Of course, you want to take care of your partner, and perhaps even though your partner is not forcing you to make sacrifice, but you were willing to do so. But without any partner, but remaining in single, you might just feel free to do whatever you want. And we have closed our voting, and thank you all for your responses. There's a lot of responses we can see here. Then I also saw one interesting responses they have having here. They say past traumatic experience and also psychological issue like depressions. May I know what's your thought on this, Royi?
Okay, I think that this one, because in the past relationship, right, someone is, how to say, getting hurt, so they are less likely to go into another relationship with maybe other girls or other boys. Yeah.
Okay, I think, perhaps being hurt is that it takes time for them to resolve it before they are ready to commit to a next relationship. And thank you all for the responses. We will pass back to our speaker again. And thank you so much.
Okay, so Roy, would you like to share some of the informations that we found on this?
Okay. So some studies have found that individuals who choose to be single are associated with several positive outcomes, such as good mental health and high psychological well-being. Yeah. So, for example, right, being single can make people more strong and self-sufficient, because when you are alone, you have to do maximum things on your own. So you have time to think about yourself. So one of the clinical psychologists views singles as an opportunity to figure out our own personal mission statement. So she said that when we are not in a relationship, we really have some time to get clear about what mattered to us and what we value. Yeah, this is her explain. Based on a recent survey, which is entitled More Malaysian Youths Likely to Shun Marriage, Bigger Families, Malaysian youths believe that singlehood offers people more freedom, while being in a relationship increase the financial obligation also. So furthermore, being single is also seen as a choice made for one's own privacy and alone time from the negative relationships, or simply because it aligns with their preferred job, spiritual or religious belief. Yeah.
Yeah, so next let's proceed to the third question. Why did we stop study this topic? Why are we?
So globally, the trend of singlehood has been identified. So more and more people are staying single, especially among the younger generation nowadays, if you realize it. So a survey on 1,000 single individuals aged 18 to 25 in 2018, conducted by Tinder. Yeah, Tinder is a dating app, and Moral HPI, which is a consulting firm, discovered that 72% of the respondents consciously selected to remain single, in which the majority of them agreed that being single has advantages that extend far beyond romantic relationships. Yeah. So the findings imply a progressive common phase of life in this era for young adults to stay single. Yeah. So considering emerging adulthood as the time of development, such as to invest in their education, work, social lives, and skills, and the skills to be more self-sufficient. This could lead to individuals concentrating more on different life domains, thus increasing the tendency to be single among young adults. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Roy. Adding on to Roy's point, I think like similarly, how the proportion of like the Asian single population, they have been like gradually increasing since I think around 1970, that decade. So like our country, Malaysia, is definitely not an exception from this global phenomenon because we have been like undergoing remarkable socio-economic development, and this has led to like changes in marriage behaviors, which ultimately results in like increasingly prevalence in singlehood in Malaysia, especially among like our youth. And besides that, like the issue of singlehood, it has like accumulated instant attention as it was reported that singles are less likely to reproduce. And if this situation or circumstance is ignored or disregarded, then this will lead to like societal issues, especially in aging nations. Although like there are past studies that have attempted to investigate the reasons that cause people to stay single, but they emphasize more on involuntary singlehood and not the intention of people to stay single. And this is like completely different with voluntary singlehood because single by choice means the people choose themselves to be single. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Joanne. So to address the literature gap and guided by the theory of planned behavior, our study has investigated the intention to be single among young adults in Malaysia and its three antecedent factors, which are attitudes towards singlehood, negative stereotyping of single persons, and perceived control. We focus on the intention to be single rather than the behavior of staying single for two reasons. So first of all, why? A behavior is dependent on one's intention. Studies have shown that behavioral intention is positively associated with behavior in different contexts, such as the waste management one and also disease prevention. So therefore, examining intentions will not only help us understand singlehood better, but it can also distinguish involuntary singlehood from voluntary singlehood. So the second point, why? The understanding of development of the intention to be single is very limited. So as the intention to be single plays a key role in one's behavior to stay single, we are not able to gain a comprehensive view of the rise in singlehood if the antecedent factors, which are aka the determinants of intention to be single, remains unknown. So in this study, we are going to explore the antecedent factors of the intention to be single among young adults in Malaysia.
Yes. Okay, moving on. To illustrate our hypothesis, as what Sam has mentioned, let's have a look at our framework. So as mentioned before, our study is guided by the theory of planned behavior, which is also known as the TPB. So this TPB, right, it like presumes three conceptually distinct or independent determinants of intention, which are attitudes.
Joanne, could you please explain a bit about TPB? What does it stand for?
The TPB is theory of planned behavior.
And actually, what is the theory of planned behavior? Actually, what does it actually telling people about the theory?
So it's like it explains like how three different things like attitudes towards something and our norm, the subjective norm, and the perceived behavioral control, which I'll get back to you later about the definition.
Thank you.
Like
please
how
carry forward.
they can actually predict behavioral intention. Yeah. So based on our framework, the attitude component is represented by the attitude towards singlehood. And the attitude refers to like how far or to the extent like someone's view whether it is positive or negative, means whether they like or dislike something towards like a particular behavior. And the subjective norm, it refers to like whether or not someone they feel under social pressure to engage in a particular behavior. So for this component, it is represented by negative stereotyping of single persons. And lastly, for the perceived control, sorry, my clock. Yeah, for the perceived behavioral control part, it refers to the apparent ease or difficulty, means how someone view like it, whether it is easy or difficult, in which like how they can perform the behavior. So for this, it was represented by perceived control in our study. So altogether, the relationship between like the attitudes towards singlehood, negative stereotyping of single persons, perceived control, and the intention to be single was established for further investigation in our study.
Yeah, thank you, Joanne, for explaining our framework. So next, please allow us to introduce our variables in this study and their relationships with the intention to be single. So the variables in our study, as mentioned just now, are attitudes towards singlehood, negative stereotyping of single persons, perceived control, and also intention to be single. So first of all, let's look at intention to be single. Intention basically means the idea that you plan or intend to carry out. So when a behavioral intention is formed, it signals the end of the pondering about what an individual will do. Like you have an idea of what you're going to do next. This displays the individual's preparation to try and the amount of effort exerted to achieve desirable outcomes. So intention to be single basically means an individual's inclination whether to be in a romantic relationship or not. So in our study, we hypothesized that an individual's intention to be single is positively associated with the behavior of staying single, voluntarily staying single. Next, let's look at the attitudes towards singlehood. Attitudes towards a behavior actually refers to an individual's evaluation of performing the target behavior. So to put it simply, it means the way you think or feel about something. So in our study, it refers to whether you like or dislike being single. According to past studies, people have a positive attitude towards singlehood because it offers them more freedom, more privacy, and lesser financial burden as compared to when you are being in a romantic relationship. Like for example, if you have more time to, you will have more time to spend with your friends. You can focus more on your career and your dreams. And the only person that is spending your money is you. Right? You don't need to spend on your other half. So in recent years, there are a few terms used to illustrate people's attitudes towards singlehood. Like for example, in Korea, it will be the sampo generation. If this term is translated to English, sampo will mean to give up on three things. And you might wonder, like, what are the three things that they give up? So it will be courtship, marriage, and also having kids. Many of the younger generation now in South Korea, right, have given up on these three things because of the social pressures, economic problems, such as the increasing cost of living, tuition fees, tuition payments, and affordable housing scarcities. So on the other hand, in China, there is actually a term that went viral on the internet, and it's called lying flatism. In Chinese, it will be 躺平主义, lying flat lah. So lying flat represents the mindset of lying down instead of being a productive member of the society. So traditional values are actually still very important in China. Like for example, you are being able to own a house and then have children. But yet many people in their 20s and 30s like worry that they will never be able to achieve these things. Those that are only children argue, for instance, they will also have to take care of their elderly parents And for many people, property prices are increasing out of reach. And now these traditional values, right, are challenged by the lying flat movement, which rallies behind the principles like don't buy property, don't buy a car, don't get married, don't have a children, and don't consume. So from this, we can see that many youngsters in China are embracing singlehood along with this movement. Moving on to the relationship between attitudes towards singlehood and the intention to be single. So theory-wise, referring to the theory of planned behavior, TBB, a positive attitude towards a certain behavior is a determinant of the intention towards the behavior. This relationship has been widely studied in various contexts, such as the gambling context, mobile shopping context, and also the healthcare context. The association between attitudes and intention has also been found in the romantic relationship context, such as marriage and also dating violence context. So, for instance, one of the past studies found that attitudes towards divorce is an influential factor of the intention to file a divorce petition. So it is believed that the relationship between attitude and intention also holds for the global trend of singlehood. As the culture shifted towards greater individualization and self-actualization, singlehood has become increasingly appealing and widely accepted. The rise of singlehood signifies favorably perceived singlehood, and those individuals have high intention to stay single. It is therefore reasonable for us to assume that a positive relationship between positive attitudes towards singlehood and intention to be single. Rohi, would you like to share the second one?
So, moving on to the second variable, which is the negative stereotype of single persons. So, you all may have a thought that what is a negative stereotype? So, negative stereotypes are described as unpleasant, offensive, and unacceptable attributes towards a social group and its members. So in Asian countries, right, engaging in a romantic relationship and getting married are considered highly crucial and regarded as a cultural benchmark. So to put it simply, romantic relationships and marriage serve as a symbol of, how to say, as a symbol of achievement for an individual in society, such that it is a normative for adults. So negative stereotypes have emerged to explain the deviance from the norm. So several Asian cultures believe that only persons with severe mental illnesses would remain single for the remainder of their lives. So as a result, right, being single in Asian society may expose singles to, how to say, psychological pressures as a result of a variety of societal negative stigma and prejudice. Okay, all right. Just out of curiosity, can you share with us some of the negative stereotype that you have heard or experienced as a single person? We will love to hear from you, so feel free to share your thoughts on this Mentimeter. Sorry, yeah. On this Mentimeter. So we will get back to it later. Please use the Mentimeter link to share in the chat box. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Rory, for sharing. Guys, you're all welcome to participate in our discussion again about what are the negative stereotypes that you have actually towards the single person. It might not be the stereotype that you have personally, but the type of negative stereotype that you had heard or observed from the others. You can welcome to again visit the website and key in the code to enter responses, and also you can use the QR code over here. We will give you 5 minutes to respond to the wording. Okay, thank you.
So okay, okay, while waiting for the comments, right, I will share some information about this this negative stereotype. So even though single persons are a proliferating population and are not a minority anymore, they may remain to be the victim of negative stereotypes, stigma, and eventually discrimination. So from what we found, singles are always presumed to be lonely, dejected, and desperate to become unsingle. So individuals' viewpoint on the social norm influences their intention to perform a particular behavior. Moreover, the individuals who are deviant from the societal norm are prone to the targets of negative stereotypes. So people will typically hold back from situations and actions that will risk confirming negative stereotypes about their group because they want to be accepted in the group. Yeah. So as a consequence, people who remain single past the socially norm marriageable age are labeled as failures and will be negatively stigmatized. So for example, some people hold several beliefs in that only persons with severe mental illnesses would remain single for the remainder of their lives. Single people are less mature than those who have gone through the maturing process of romantic love. Yeah, and single persons earn less than married individuals and are less likely to be promoted at the workplace. So indeed, the term singlism has been coined to explain the uses of stigma, negative stereotypes, and discrimination in describing a single individual. Although single persons, right, is a rapidly growing population and not a minority anymore, they may remain as the victims of negative stereotypes, stigma, and discrimination. Yeah. So in a past study, the researchers once invited participants to describe the qualities that came to their minds when they considered individuals who were married or single. It was found that while married people were more likely to be characterized with positive attributes, for example, mature, happy, and also considerate. So singles were more often associated with negative characteristics like immature, egocentric, and lonely. Yeah. So the perceived disparities between singles and married people, right, were often quite significant in which partner individuals were perceived more favorably. So on the whole, the negative stereotypes against single individuals may induce fear and stress that evoke low levels of intention to be single and cause some individual to rush into the relationship. So in our study, we hypothesized negative stereotyping of single persons to have a negative relationship with the intention to be single. Yeah. So let's see the comments. Okay. So eventually you will need a partner to form a family. Okay. After you get old, you have no one to take care of you. Okay, yeah, sure. This one, exactly. Saying that I'm being way too picky while searching for a potential partner. And here is my thought. Okay. Just now I think I saw what are left over, is it? In
Yes,
China.
I think in China they perceive them as leftover. Yeah, they perceive as leftover man or woman.
Yeah, I think in Malaysia context, right? It can be also like we can say that 老姑婆, is it 老姑婆 means that no one will like you or no one wants you in your future. Yeah.
Yes, they're actually having here dying sad and alone.
Dying sad and alone. Okay.
Oh, again, picky, lonely, and narcissistic and stubborn, not easy to get together. I think mostly people might have the negative stereotype about people being single is like they are actually hard to get along.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they are being single, and or they are really picky in choosing their partner. Or I think there is also one possible negative stereotype that I have encountered. They might think you are not heterosexual. They might think you as homosexual or bisexual or something like that.
Yes.
In Malaysia, and commonly
I agree.
homosexual is not acceptable. That's why they're actually thinking you must have some problem with your sexual orientation. That's why you are being single.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that.
I think we have more. I think they also have. They don't believe that you are content with where you are in your singlehood. I might not really understand this, but I think they are referring to you are not happy with where you are in your singlehood.
Yeah, I think that's what he or she is trying to tell.
Yeah, and
Yes.
and also there's one interesting here. They say saying that I'm being way too picky while searching for a potential partner. And here's my thought: why would I or why should I settle for someone mediocrity? Is it? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. If there's not someone that you want, why would you settle down?
Yeah.
I think we have really interesting responses over here, and thank you all for your active participations. And we will pass back to Joanne to explain about the third variables.
Okay, thank you, Suro. Well, the third variable is perceived control. What is perceived control? Perceived control refers to how someone assess their ability to perform either discretion or control. So they are the views about how possible that one's action will result in the desired outcome. It is commonly also referred to one's capability to exert control over conditions or occurrences. So according to the TPB, people will portray a stronger intention towards certain behavior when they perceive or they think that they have control over it. So nowadays, young adults, they have greater freedom in shaping and directing their life paths, and this indicates them exercising control in their lives. The lives of young adults attribute to many domains, such as getting an education, establishing careers, romantic relationships, and continued relations with family and friends, which all of these will compete for both of their intrapersonal and interpersonal resources, and possibly making it difficult for romantic relationships to be prioritized. And individuals, they tend to choose and accommodate their personal goals based on present developmental transitions. And this suggests that young adults may emphasize career. So in the present, there is a shift in family attitudes and values, and this results in a larger emphasis on individualization and independence along with lower commitment towards the norms. So with this, there is the significance that an individual could give on feelings of control is influenced by values connected to how much the individual views the world individualistically and collectivistically. So there are past studies that have adopted the theory of planned behavior that have shown that the inclusion of perceived control could enhance the prediction of intention to execute a behavior. So because of that, we have hypothesized that if young adults have a higher control of being single, they are likely to have a higher intention to be single. So before we move on to the other section, let us take a 5-minute break to refresh ourselves. Over to you, Suro.
Yeah, thank you, Joanne, for sharing. And after bombarding with so many informations, let us take a 5 minutes break to refresh ourselves and digest the informations that they our dear speaker provided to us, and before we move into the practical part. And you all don't forget, you are all welcome to drop your questions, comments, and opinions, and all of your thoughts, any thoughts that you have in the chat box. So our speakers will answer to you during the Q&A sections. I will see you all after 5 minutes. Hi, welcome back everyone. We already finished our break here and let's continue with our presentations from our speaker. And we now have Roy with us, right?
Yeah, thank you, Suro. So for this session, we are moving on to discuss about the methodology that we use and also the findings. So we use survey to recruit the participants, whereby the inclusion criteria are individuals who are single, between 20 to 29 years old, and Malaysian to answer the questions only. Yeah. So, you might wonder, why did we choose this age group? Why we choose 20 to 29 years old only? Okay, the reason that we recruit young adults between 20 to 29 years old is because most of the individuals who are between 15 and 19 are still focused on their education and not being in a romantic relationship or a marriage. Yeah. So we spent around 1.5 months, if not mistaken, to recruit 417 participants. So after we did the data screening, so it left only 293 participants. Yeah. And then we included 4 skills in the survey. So the first skills is attitudes towards singlehood skill. It is used to measure people's attitudes towards singlehood. Secondly, we use negative stereotyping of single person skills to measure the negative stereotyping of single people. So next, we use the sense of control skill to evaluate the perceived control of people. Lastly, the intention to be single skills, it was revised from the intention to marry skill to assess the intention of being single of a person. So other than this, we use multiple linear regression, MLR, which is a statistical analysis method to examine the relationship between the variables, like between attitudes towards singlehood, negative stereotyping of single persons, and perceived control with the intention to be single among the young adults in Malaysia. So throughout the result, we found that attitudes towards singlehood and negative stereotyping towards single person have a significant relationship with the intention to be single. Yeah. So I will pass the floor to Joanne and Sam to present the discussion part.
Okay, thank you, Roy. Let's move on to the discussion. So to recap, like our study adopted the theory of planned behavior to examine, number one, the relationship between attitudes towards singlehood and intention to be single. Number two, the relationship between negative stereotyping of single persons negatively and intention to be single. And number three, the relationship between perceived control and intention to be single. So overall, in our study, we have concluded that attitude towards singlehood had a positive relationship with the intention to be single, and negative stereotyping of single persons negatively correlates with the intention to be single. And our findings are aligned with the TBB, which suggests that like a specific attitude towards a behavior and the influence of normative social pressures are expected to predict the intention to carry out a behavior. And we found that perceived control did not have a relationship with the intention to be single. This could be due to the effect of perceived control being made weaker by other factors. Because according to a past study, perceived control is a weak determinant of behavioral intention, because people's control on decision making can be affected by factors that are beyond their control. For instance, financial concern like the unprecedented inflation and family pressure. Moreover, societal norms may affect individuals' behavior and can compel them to restrain or control themselves from behaving distinctively. So basically, society's perspective on being single may have an impact on one's sense of control. For instance, people may ignore their sense of control and compromise to the societal norms by being involved in a romantic relationship and then getting married in order to prevent themselves from being negatively stereotyped. So even though they have the opportunity to control, that is to choose to be single, it is possible that they may have lower intentions to be single due to social pressure. So this could be a possibility that can warrant for further research in the future.
Okay, so next I would like to talk about the implications. As the views of singlehood are ambivalent, meaning that like some argue that single people are miserable and unhappy, while some others argue that singlehood can be embracing and fulfilling. So it is critical for us to present scientific and empirical research findings on singlehood in a reliable manner. Our study has theoretically contributed to the literature on the theory of planned behavior, TPB, as well as singlehood. The findings of our study not only shed light on the applicability of the TPB in the context of singlehood, but also offer insights into the development of the intention to be single. The TPB is one of the most widely used theories in social and behavioral sciences, whereby the TPB has received broad attention in various areas such as the environmental science, the health sciences, business, and also management, but it has not been used in the studies of singlehood. So our study has demonstrated that TPB is also applicable in the context of singlehood. The findings of this study can provide further support for the efficacy of the TPB in explaining the determinants of the intention to be single. The practical implication of this study is the discovery of the prominent role of attitudes towards singlehood and negative stereotyping of single persons in their intention to be single. So the findings are helpful for researchers and also policymakers to handle the rising singlehoods across countries. Like for example, researchers can extend their investigation to reveal factors that shape young people's attitudes towards singlehood. And consequently, after identifying the key factors, policymakers can also implement policies that can shape young adults' attitudes towards singlehood and intention to stay single, which could in turn tackle the high singlehood rate and its negative impacts, such as the low birth rates. And that's all from us. Thank you for listening. Over to you, Suro.
Yeah, thank you, Sam, Joanne, and Ravi for your interesting and insightful sharing. We actually got few. We don't have questions from the audience so far, but audiences, you are all welcome to unmute yourself or drop your questions at the chat box if you have any questions. And also, we have very interesting comments from Dr. Gans. Yeah, that she said a lot of those are not single. There are true, a lot of girls they are not single, but just a norm that people are saying in that way. But interestingly, that not only we know about the singlehood, also we know it is not a trend that actually occurring in only Malaysia, but Korea and also China. A lot of people, youngsters nowadays, they are choose to be single out of a lot of reasons. For just like how you all study about that, their attitude, their negative stereotype, and also the perceived control they have over their life. And I think from Sam, I have one question from you, because from what you say in the implications over there, right? You mentioned about government can do something, or policymaker actually they can do something on shaping policy and in shaping people's attitude towards singlehood. Could you please give some specific example on that? An example of policy, what kind of policy or influencer they could have?
Okay, sorry, please give me a minute to digest the question.
Yeah, it's okay. Please take your time. Joanne and Louis,
Okay.
you can share your thoughts as well if you have any on these questions. Is there anyone want to unmute themselves and ask questions about the topic? I think, Aaron, I saw your comment on the chat board that you tapped yes. May I know what do you referring and what are your agreements on this? Any issue that actually you are agree with, so we can perhaps discuss further in it.
Okay, so in the meanwhile, like just now, what Suro has asked, like, what are the examples of things that policymakers can do, right? Like,
Yes.
to like so they after they like understand like the current trends and perceptions of the younger generations towards singlehood, maybe they can develop or implement the social policies such as like developing incentive programs for the newlyweds and new parents as a way to address the low birth rates and also reduce the progress of the country to be an aging nation. Yeah, that's my point of view.
Because from my personal view of that, singlehood is not necessarily related to birth, right? Because my research areas is a bit related to reproductive, so I understand a lot of parents or a lot of couple, even though they are involved in romantic relationships, still they don't want to have kids. So even though they are having incentive, but it doesn't change their decisions to be single, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think it will boost the birth rates in certain sense.
Yeah, I think that's a good point of view.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
think not only singlehood is a growing change, growing trend. I believe that a lot of people are choose not to have kids as well. In another sense, sorry, it's a bit out of the scope already. Yeah, I think Aaron has share his thought. I think. Oh, okay. I was agreeing to your reactions to my questions or statement. Oh, okay, Aaron. Yeah, thank you. And I think Dr. Gan proposed the questions. Can let me read it out. Okay, is it sorry, is it a must for single persons to mingle around? Sometimes people might misunderstood some some single persons that if their mingles equals to they are actually searching for a target. So, Joanne, perhaps can you share on your thoughts on this first?
I don't think it's a must for them to mingle around, because actually like all these kinds of things is actually, it depends on the person themselves. So I don't think they are subject to follow any norm, and sometimes people might misunderstand that single people, if they mingle, they are searching for target. Actually, this is true, and in fact it is sort of like a stereotype, because personally I've heard people saying that, like, I've experienced people, they actually how do I put it in this way? Okay, so like it's like my friend, they are dating, then if it's okay for them to be friends before they are dating, but after they are dating, they sort of like stray away with you, and sometimes their girlfriends, they may be a bit it's not intimidated, but they may be a bit weird by the fact that like their boyfriend has a close girlfriend, and then they think that you are targeting their boyfriend, like that kind of situation. So I don't think it's a must for them to mingle around.
I think being single is definitely could be a personal choice. Depends, just like what you all have mentioned. It could be a personal choice, but it could be because of the environmental issues that you couldn't get a right partner. And Sam, perhaps could you please share your thoughts on Dr. Gan's questions?
Okay, so for me, yes, it is not a must for single persons to mingle around, like what we have mentioned just now. Whether to be single or not is your own choice. It's not a good thing. It's we cannot say like single is good or single is bad. Actually, we should
No
view
judgment.
single in a neutral way. Actually, yeah, there's no right or wrong being single or being in a relationship. Like it's just your own preference, like whether you want to be or you don't want to be single. Yeah, that's what I want to say.
And how about you, Rowie? Any thoughts on this?
Because I believe that single person maybe how to say how everyone had its own plan, so maybe become mingle around is not ideal way for them. So from my perspective, it is no wrong or correct if the single person is mingle around. Yeah.
Because from my view, just like what Joanne say, is also a concern is people that are mingle around, because commonly people assume that if you are single, then you are actively looking for partner. They don't think you are actually choose to be singles out of your personal choice, because commonly the mainstream is people are going to commit in a romantic relationship and getting married at a certain age, but with more and more actually influencer of actually celebrity or people's remain to be single, a lot of people realize that actually there's a choice. If I don't want to commit in a relationship, I could be choose to be single instead, right?
Yes.
So and come back to the issues is like what's your attitude, your personal attitude to no, let me rephrase it. Is there any negative stereotypes that you have encountered throughout your life, or is there any, personally speaking, just personally sharing that, is there any negative stereotype that have you encountered from your friends, from your parents or others? Because I understand Malaysian, they are, especially for older generations, they are not they are not that open-minded as the younger generation now. So certainly we will face a lot of negative stereotype and comments if we remain single for a certain period, or you just being solo singlehood, you never have any romantic partner since you were born, so they will also assume that you have any problem. So would you mind share your personal experiences? Is there any negative stereotype that you have encountered?
I think so far we are still young, so I think we haven't encountered this, right? If now we are 27 years old and above, then maybe our parents will say, oh, why don't you just get married, find someone to get married? And then I think this will not happen on us, what? Is it Sam and Joanne? For me, I didn't encounter this negative stereotype lah. For me, yeah.
For me, I didn't encounter it, but I've heard it. I've personally heard it before. Like just now Roy mentioned the term logo por, right? So it's like so in English that means spinster, right? An unmarried woman, something like that. So like I've heard like last time my grandmother's friends, like they sort of like say like, oh, usually those unmarried women, they have problems, and then they have like, they are very stingy also, and they are like what's that? They are like also like not understanding towards people with families. Yeah. Yeah, and they are selfish. Yes, I heard from that. But I
Yeah.
don't think so lah.
Yeah, I myself have encountered some negative stereotypes, like because I'm single, and like during the Chinese New Year and stuff, you will have a lot of relatives that they are going to visit your house and stuff, and during that time you will be asked about like your relationship status and stuff. Like the time they will ask you like, huh? For myself lah, they will be like, huh? You don't have a boyfriend ah? Why what? You're so pretty, huh? You're too picky, is it? Or what? They will assume like you're too picky, and like, or maybe like, or is it because of your parents? Like your parents don't want you to have boyfriend or what, or something like that. I think I heard a few friends of mine also have similar things, like similar problems like this. Like they assume that you want to find a boyfriend, but because of other circumstances, because of other factors, you can't. So that makes you couldn't get into a relationship lah. But for me, that's not the point lah for me, because I think like I am comfortable being in this status now. I'm comfortable being single now, and that's my own choice. So I think these are the negative stereotypes that I have encountered. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for sharing, Sam. I think, most of the single people they will encounter, especially from Chinese family, they will just ask you so. And worst come to worst, they might just arrange some meeting for you, just like how they have 相亲 in Chinese culture.
Yeah.
After you, they have some form for somehow forcing you to be mingles and get a romantic partner for marriage. And we have actually one question for Dr. Zhang. Let me read it out. There are different definitions of single or singlehood. What is your definitions for it? Perhaps could Roy share your thoughts on this?
I don't think it's.
Mm,
Oh, sorry.
for me, single and singlehood, it is about status. Can I say so? Status.
Yeah.
If you have boyfriend but you haven't married, then you are still single. Yeah. So and then for singlehood, right? For my understanding, it is how to say singlehood is like the person is not really how to say, not really in a romantic relationship yet. Means that the person doesn't have boyfriend or husband or wife or girlfriend or something like this. Yeah.
How about you, Joanne? Any thoughts on this?
For me, I think it's just singlehood. How do I define? I think personally, for me, I think it's like a stage before you enter into like romantic relationships. How I define it is like a time for you to like discover yourself before committing to be with someone.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joanne. Like single is like a time for you to discover yourself, a time for your development, self-development and stuff. Yeah.
Thank you for the insightful input. Then we have actually one's opinion shared by our participant, Chloe, that she say, I don't think it's acceptable to normalize the stereotype that people over the age of 26 should have married rather than remain single. Being singles but not available, or single and mingle around, or single and let natural take its course, etc. have received much more acceptance in today's world than in the past? I think yes, because now with the emerging trends that we can know that singlehood actually is coming to the surface to more awareness of the people that actually we can choose to be single, and is marriage or committing in a relationship might not be the only choice that we have. Okay, and I think the sections is coming to the end. Before we end the sections, any closing remarks from the speaker?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so
No.
much. I think thank you so much for all your participations today,
Yeah.
and thank you our speaker for the insightful sharing today. And I will see you all in the next sections. Don't forget that our next sections will be start at 3 p.m. So you may join the sections at 2:50. And I will see you all again later. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks.